Welcome to the Competitive Advantage podcast. If you're just tuning in, I've spent the last 10 years reading 1,300 books and taking notes on all of them. And now I'm sharing what I've learned for your benefit in business and in life. So this episode is going to follow the same structure as you've come to know and or love in previous episodes. I'm going to start with one book recommendation, one person that every creator should follow, one business tactic or strategy that I'm using or exploring right now. And then I finish with one high leverage question that you can use to make massive strides forward in your business and in your life. The Competitive Advantage podcast is brought to you by the Competitive Advantage community on School, which is my private business mastermind for creators who want to add at least an extra $1,000 to $5,000 every single month to their online creator business. So if you want to learn from someone like me who's built up a massive audience of hundreds of thousands on social media, who's gone full time as a creator and built up 10 different revenue streams, as well as a crazy network of millionaires and influencers all over the world, then you're going to want to join the Competitive Advantage community on School. The link to join is the first link in the description. And the book recommendation that I'm going to lead off with is called The YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves. And it's a fantastic book that I'm ripping through right now. And if you're a creator who wants to establish your presence on YouTube, then it's the book that you absolutely must read. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Gabe. He's got 500,000 subscribers on his channel, and he does minimalism videos and personal finance, books, things of that nature. So obviously we get along great. But I was talking to him on just a video call the other day, and I mentioned that I was reading the YouTube Formula, and sure enough, he's got it on his bookshelf behind him. So the author, he's worked directly with, dozens and dozens of the biggest names on YouTube. Well, like MrBeast for one. So he started working with Jimmy Donaldson when MrBeast was at 5 million subscribers or whatever, and now he's at what 250 million. And so he's been with him from the beginning. And so Daryl's approach is it's like this data driven approach to growing on YouTube. So it's like following what your channel analytics tell you, really being smart about who's watching your channel and why, and what kind of content that you can create for them that will make them stick around or make them want to stick around, right? And so it's just a fantastic book, and it goes into the high level stuff about YouTube history, but of course down in the very extremely tactical stuff too about what exactly you should do if you really want to set up your channel for success. And so I'm absolutely ripping through this book right now. I can tell you already that I've already applied many of the things that I'm learning in that book. I'm literally doing things that I learned from that book in this video right now. I'm using it, and I will use it for every single video that I ever create, and for as long as I'm on YouTube. And so I highly recommend the book. But then speaking of YouTube creators, so somebody you should absolutely follow is a guy I just started working with. His name is Jimmy Marshall, and so he's a YouTube expert, and he's also helping me to just blow up this channel, right? And so I'm working with him one on one. He and I are just going again. It's the data driven approach to YouTube. So we're talking we're doing competitor research. We're looking up videos that have done really well, and we're looking for topics that are popular, that people are actually watching and looking for. And we're researching other videos and thinking, okay, so that video got 1 million views. How could we do something similar, for my channel? But what could we do better? How can I add my own spin on it? How can I make it valuable to my audience specifically? And then what kind of titles are they using, and how can we adapt them for our own video? And he designs all my thumbnails right now, and he just does an amazing job on that. So I'm super impressed with just everything that he's been doing for me and with me, right? And so yeah, Jimmy Marshall. I first started following him on Twitter. So that's again, I'll leave all his links down there. Same with Gabe and Derek, all the everything I mentioned on the in the episode will be down in the show notes. But I've just started working with Jimmy last month, and it's instantly one of the best decisions that I've made in 2024. So definitely, if you're looking to blow up your YouTube channel, talk to Jimmy. Jimmy knows what's up. And now a business strategy or tactic that I'm sort of experimenting with or using right now is actually Facebook ads. So in the last month or so, I've been spending, maybe, between 20 and $40 a day, which is basically nothing, on Facebook ads to grow my newsletter, right? So my newsletter is called The Reading Life, and that's where I share all my book recommendations, stuff like that. About 4,200 people read it right now every single week. But just a few weeks ago, before I started Facebook ads, I was at 3,700 subscribers, right? And so just in a few weeks of doing these Facebook ads, 20, 30, $40 a day, I've added, 500 subscribers to my channel, and it's growing all the time. Like I literally can't check my analytics or my dashboard without seeing that like 6 new people join my email list, right? And so it's actually pretty wild. And especially when you consider that I've got a whole bunch of different revenue streams like operating within that newsletter. So like there's, every newsletter that I send out, yes, I add as much value as I possibly can. Like it's not just a sales pitch in every email, because like nobody would want to receive that. Like you open these newsletters because there's something in it for them. So like I pack it full of value, right? But at the same time, there is something like there is some way for me to make money in every single issue of the newsletter that goes out, right? And even through my welcome sequence that people get once they sign up to my newsletter, right? So they're put through this welcome sequence that sort of introduces them to my work and my ideas. And again, in every single email in that sequence, I'm giving them something, right? So when you sign up, you get my list of 100 books that will dramatically improve your life, right? And so in different things like that, and a couple other surprises in that first email. But at the same time, there are ways that I make money throughout that sequence. I won't like dive into everything, but I mean, they become aware of well, for one thing, my paid upgrade. Like, there's a paid version of the newsletter, right? And so like I tell people about that in the welcome sequence, and my Patreon, where you can buy all my book notes from the 1,300 books that I've read for $1, right? And so people are they become exposed to that. Like they find out that I offer all of these things, right? So it's so I'm not just spending money to grow the newsletter. I'm also seeing a return on ad spend, which is really quite something. So I'm basically getting paid to grow my newsletter. And what's really cool about this whole sort of like this virtuous cycle almost is that like the bigger my newsletter grows, the more people want to partner with me. And I've already got like tons of people that want to sort of like do cross promotions with me, of course, and or just like advertise in my newsletter, things like that, right? And so that like those kind of opportunities will only just start coming like faster and faster as my newsletter grows, right? So like I'm at 4,200 subscribers right now. While I'm recording this, people are signing up to my newsletter just while I'm doing something else, right? And like I'm literally making money in my sleep from this newsletter. And as it grows, I'm just getting more and more, and it's just getting just this snowball effect that just, man, it's just wild. Like I absolutely love the internet, and again, I will remind you that this all started because I wanted to read 10,000 books. Like that's my goal, and like it all started because I took reading seriously, and like I used my obsession with reading and like the genuine passion and excitement and enthusiasm that I have for reading, and I shared it with people on the internet, and now I make a full-time living doing that, which is actually insane, and it's just wild. So yeah, Facebook ads. I mean, there's a lot more to it. Don't let me make you think that it's just a money printing machine. It certainly can be, but at the same time, I'm still making mistakes. So like when I first started my campaign, there are several different like campaign types that you can choose, and what I thought that I wanted was website traffic, right? And so basically, when you choose that objective for your campaign, Facebook shows your advertisement to people who are likely to click the link and go to your website, right? Which is what I thought that I wanted. But when I actually tested it, I saw that that was barely working. And then another friend of mine just randomly saw one of my Twitter updates on this Facebook ads experiment that I was running, and he said, "Yo, dude, why are you running a traffic campaign? You need to be running a leads campaign." I was like, "What's the difference?" And he explained to me that a leads campaign is where Facebook shows your ad to people who are more likely to to newsletters, right? And to just, it's a totally different campaign objective, right? One is just website visitors, and the other is like actual conversions. And you have to optimize for conversions, which is what I wanted. And so, like, I didn't know that going in. And so, like, if you didn't know that, I saved you like $1,000. You can pay me back by subscribing to this channel. But the bottom line is that I love Facebook ads for growing a business, growing a newsletter. It's just one of the like one of these awesome things that just it's such an easy decision. Which brings me to the high leverage question that I think you should ask. And this is one I got from Tim Ferriss. And he just says, what would this look like if it were easy? See, I don't always say that I'm the best at things, but I'm the best at overcomplicating business, strategy, life. I overcomplicate. If you want someone to overcomplicate something, you come to me. Right? So I found this question really useful, valuable, right? Like, what would this look like if it were easy? You take something that you're having trouble with, and like, what is the easiest way to do this? Like, if it were simple and effortless to grow a newsletter, for example, or to gain followers, or to get a promotion, or to like anything, like how like what would change if this were actually easy? For growing your business, two things come to mind. One would be focusing on the things that actually get you paid, right? Instead of, wasting time on the things like, redesigning your website or like updating your bio, which nobody cares about, right? And the second thing, of course, would be joining the competitive advantage community where I literally teach you exactly how to add $1,000 a month to your business. That is incredibly easy. You just go to the people who have already done the thing that you want to do, and then you learn from them. You take what they say to do, and then you do it, and then you get the same results. Like, it's the simplest thing in the world. And so now I usually close each episode with just giving you a little bit of a look inside my business, my life, what I'm working on, basically, right? And I won't spend too much time on this because I know not everyone's going to be interested. But one of the things, like I said, I am actively growing my newsletter, and the newsletter is one of my main platforms. Like, it's definitely one of my main revenue generators in my business. But one of the things that's obviously I've sort of come to this conclusion is how just massively important it is to establish like a big YouTube presence this year. So I'm really like doubling, tripling down on YouTube. Like I've actually just committed to doing like daily uploads on YouTube for at least the foreseeable future. Like until the end of August, I'll be doing daily uploads on YouTube. And just, like I'm working with Jimmy, like one on one, just like going full out, just forward, like all the time, just like gas pedal floor on YouTube, because I see the opportunity, and like if it wasn't already obvious to me, then Daryl Eves' book, The YouTube Formula, just like hammered it home. Like even more, just how like every single person you want to reach in your business is on YouTube, and just like the opportunities to establish your authority and credibility and expertise, it's on YouTube. Like you just have to be on YouTube. Like there's no other way around it. So I'm committing to daily uploads. Obviously growing my newsletter as much as I can. Another big channel for me has consistently been Instagram, right? And so I'm at 113,000 followers there, and a little less than that, 112,500. And a bunch came just last night after Dan Coe shared one of my posts on his story. That was wild, like 10,000 extra views on my post just from sharing it to his stories to his 1.7 million followers. And like things like that happen all the time, just randomly. Like you never know. Like what opportunities are going to open up for you, and like I didn't expect that. Like I tagged him in the post because I mentioned his book, and like I didn't expect him to share it, but then he did, and then I got like 200 new followers just from that, which is pretty insane. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm growing all my revenue streams. I've got several in my business. They're all interrelated. I'm not going off in a whole bunch of different directions. Like these are related income streams. But what I'm basically doing is like I'm not spending money on like silly stupid shit. I'm reinvesting all of it, like almost literally all of it, back into the business and back into growth and accelerating, really, reaching, what you could call escape velocity. right? And just really just reinvesting everything, buying, books, courses, Facebook ads, investing in, like into tech that will just save me time. Just like basically anything that I can spend money on to grow my business faster, save me time, just make my business life easier. This is the season of my life that I'm doing it, and I'm really seeing the results. And like all of these crazy opportunities are coming in, and just some really wild stuff happening. And like I'm fortunate enough to be able to help other people do the same thing. And like I taught a master class the other day on profitable DM strategies. Like my friend Talon invited me to speak to his group of other creators, and it's just like those kind of opportunities open up for you if you get moving. There's a really stupid phrase that I love. It goes something like doors of opportunity will open for you, but you have to be moving down the hallway. I know it's dumb, like same as it's never crowded along the extra mile. But again, I love that one too because like it's so completely true. Like you have to get moving. You have to move forward, and then things will happen. But you have to be in action, in motion. So that's what's happening with me. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Competitive Advantage podcast. And always remember, bookmarks are for quitters.
FaceTime, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable.